Hey YouTube, this is XVIcaliber for Team EDM. Got a deck profile for you today for a deck that I recently finished that I like to call Zerg Rush. So, it involves insects, but before we go into anything else, let's just go to the deck list. We've got 3 Magical Merchant, 3 Aztekapede the Worm Warrior, 3 Doomdozer, 3 Howling Insect, 2 Danipon, 2 Gokipon, 2 B-List Soldier, 2 Kawakimaru Beetle, 2 Naturia Butterfly, 2 Birdman, 1 Unknown Synchron, 1 Glow-Up Bulb, Sangin, Necroface, and Plague Spreader. For spells, we've got 2 Different Dimension Reincarnation, 2 Insect Neglect, 1 Wormbait, and limited staples, Foolish, Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, 1-for-1, Pot of Avarice. And for traps, we run 1 Transmigration Prophecy. For the extra, we've got Formula Synchron, Dark Diviner, Magical Android, Naturia Beast, Underground Arachnid, Naturia Barkion, Brionac, Black Rose, Naturia Landois, Stardust Dragon, Aeroshark, Levier, Utopia, and Zenmeister. So, let's go into some combos. Alright, so as you may have noticed, this is a deck that functions off of Magical Merchant as an engine. Now, Magical Merchant is a flip effect monster. It's a level 1 light insect. When it's flipped, you pick up cards from the top of your deck until you reveal a spell or a trap card. You add that card to your hand and send all the rest of the cards to the graveyard. So, obviously, any monster that you happen to pick up gets milled into the grave. This is by far the best milling card in the game, just because it allows you to control your mills. In decks like Twilight, mills are incredibly inconsistent. You could mill all your limited cards, and then you'd be screwed. But with this, you're going to ensure that you're always going to mill monsters and only monsters. For getting Magical Merchant, we have 3 cards that search it out. Obviously, we have Sangin. And then we have Gokipon and Danipon. Gokipon, when it's destroyed by battle, searches an insect with 15 or less attack to your hand. And Danipon, when it's destroyed by battle, searches an insect with 1,000 or less defense from your deck to your hand. And Howling Insect is our Battle Searcher floater that also brings these out. So this deck has plenty of floating power and lots of hand advantage. Now, the main engine of the deck, aside from Magical Merchant, is these 2 cards, Aztekapede the Worm Warrior and Doomdozer. Now, you might recognize Doomdozer a little bit more, because he's the 2800 beat stick. You special summon it by removing 2 insects in your grave, and whenever it deals battle damage, your opponent mills a card. Okay effect, but it's better as a 28 beat stick. Aztekapede is his smaller cousin. You only have to remove 1 insect for him, and he's a 1900 4-star beater, which means that he goes pretty much perfectly into the Synchro and Xyz meta, because he's an easily special summonable card. B-List Soldier is an insect draw card. When you have him and another insect except B-List Soldier on the field, you tribute them both off to draw 2 cards. Now, we run a lot of cards to abuse B-List Soldier, because it's the only draw card we have, and it's actually incredibly abusable. The first method is by using Foolish Burial to bury it from your deck, and then remove it for Aztekapede. Then playing Different Dimension Reincarnation to ditch a card, bring it back, and then tribute them both to draw 2. Next, we have 1-for-1. Pretty obvious. You ditch any monster, you get B-List out of your deck, tribute it with another insect, draw more cards. The best part with this is that you don't normal summon Aztekapede or Doomdozer. So when you're using these to draw 2 with B-List, you're not using a normal summon, which is amazing. We also have this weird game promo called Wormbait that I've been testing in the deck, and it actually works really well. If you have kind of a bad hand and open B-List Soldier and Wormbait, then you can normal summon B-List Soldier and activate Wormbait. What Wormbait does is, if you control a face-up insect monster, you get 2 level 1 tokens that are insects. And for the rest of the turn, you can't normal or special summon level 3 or level 4 monsters. You can still set them, though. But if you play B-List Soldier and play Wormbait, you'll get two tokens, and you contribute them to draw cards. What's cool is after you play Wormbait, you can't special summon Aztekapede, but you can special summon Doomdozer. And you can synchro into synchros that are not level 3 or level 4, which is amazing. Now, an important and really awesome feature of this deck is that you can go into a large variety of synchro monsters. Because we run so many dark tuners, we get access to a lot of incredibly powerful dark synchro monsters, like Dark Diviner and Underground Arachnid. Now, Underground Arachnid is a 2400 that can equip a monster a la Relinquished once per turn, and if it would be destroyed by battle, the equipped monster is destroyed instead. So it's a quick 6-star monster that you can use, you can get out by bringing out as Tekapede or Quakimeru Beetle or Howling Insect, and then synchroing with Plague or with Birdman, respectively. So those are both really nice options. And by the way, Dark Diviner is a 2000 attack monster. It can't be destroyed by battle. Whenever it attacks an opponent's monster, that monster's attack becomes 2000. And whenever it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you draw, or your opponent mills 3 cards. So that's really important too. We also run all 3 of the Naturia synchros, because we can go into them so easily. The only tuners we run are Earth and Dark. The Earth tuners we run are Naturia Butterfly, which is searchable by every card, or, all the floaters in the deck, Howling Insect, Gokipon, Sangan, etc. And we have Glow Up Bulb, which is easily usable thanks to how much the deck mills. Naturia Beast, Naturia Barkion, Naturia Landois, they all negate effects, and they're all incredibly powerful monsters to have in the deck. That's a really helpful tool. Another cool thing about Plague Spreader is that you can abuse it with Different Dimension Reincarnation. If you stack for Plague and bring it out, and then it's banished after you synchro with it, you can play DDR to bring it back, and then if you synchro with it again, it goes to the grave, and then you can use its effect in the grave again. So I continually stress that Different Dimension Reincarnation is an amazing card, especially if you base your entire deck off of removing insects from play the entire game. It really helps because it lets you toolbox another zone on your mat, essentially. We also have 2 Xyz monsters that abuse this. We have Levier and we have Arrow Shark. I would normally be running Zenmaines also, but my Zenmaines is currently not in my possession. It is being borrowed by a friend. I probably would have won more games at locals today if I had it, but regardless, Levier is amazing because it brings out any of our remove from play monsters, and Arrow Shark is a random niche card that actually works really well in the deck. Because late game, you can have upwards of 10 or so remove from play monsters thanks to continuously spamming Doomdozer with Birdman, and spamming as Tekapede with Birdman to get free summons and free remove from play. So you're going to be doing upwards of, 800 to 1500 burn with this card, which is incredibly useful late game when life totals are low and you don't want people solomoning you, things like that. As far as the extra deck goes, as you could probably tell, this extra deck is incomplete. I still need a Catastor for it, and I still need my Zenmaines, obviously. But this extra deck has a lot of variety. You can tech a lot of synchros in here just because the tuners are Earth and Dark. If you don't have Naturia Beast and Barkion, you can go for other level 5s, level 6s. If you have Hyper Librarian, you can go into that, and that'll really help with all the drawing. You can go into Armory Arm if you don't have Dark Diviner. Formula Synchron can be accomplished with Magical Merchant or B-List Soldier and Unknown Synchron or Formula, or Glow Up Bulb. And that gives you extra hand advantage as well. If you don't have Brio, like I said, there's plenty of rank 6s. Black Rose, if you have Scrap Dragon, you can grab, that for your level 8 instead of Stardust. Utopia and Zenmeister, there aren't really that many good rank 4s out now, but it's incredibly useful to have good rank 4s because this card is amazing and you can spam it. Because if you're going to have insects in your grave all the time, this isn't an inconsistent deck. If Magical Merchant ever appears in your hand or anywhere, I can guarantee you that you will have insects in your grave. Not to mention, half of the monsters in this deck are floaters anyways, and the other half of the monsters recycle your remove from play. Another interesting tech that I haven't gone into yet is Necrophase. Now, the entire point of this deck is to remove from play as many monsters as possible. But Necroface is really interesting, because if you play it after playing a bunch of Doom Dozers, after removing a whole bunch of these cards, and your deck is running low, you can play it, and Necroface will turn into a huge beatstick. Not to mention, you'll get all those cards back to your deck. Now, for the traps, I run Transmigration Prophecy. This can also be teched out. I run this just because I don't have, like, Treacherous Trap Hole or something like that. That would be a much better pick for this deck. But you don't really need to run traps, because you have all of the negation you need right here. And all of the indestructible by battle stuff right here. And all of the negation here, and etc. Transmigration Prophecy's funny, but it's not exactly as useful as, say, Treacherous would be. I would much rather run Treacherous, but I don't have a copy of it right now. So if you have a copy of Treacherous Trap Hole, run it in this deck. Because being able to just kill 2 monsters in response to an effect, because it's chainable, is pretty good. And the rest of this deck is pretty good to begin with. So, that's the deck. That's Zerg Rush. Make sure to comment and like and subscribe and all that stuff. Team EDM will have more videos. Trust me, I've been bothering everyone to put up videos. Joey's been putting up videos, as you can tell, and I am doing my best to put up as many videos as I can. Make sure to spread the word if you like our decks. I mean, we always do things differently. That's the Team EDM way. So, this is XVIcaliber with Zerg Rush, signing out.